Welcome to the PGF Season 3 Pre Show. So tonight we start our matches, but with me to do some analysis here is Egghead Warrior and Stephen Aiken. And so we are going to go to a recap of the draft right now.
We're about to get the draft started. Season 3 of the PGF. Round 1 starts now. Team Toehold, Sean Applegate. The
Until
first
someone
pick
beats him.
in the draft, Elijah Carlton.
I
All right, Elijah, this is your
Drew
third PGF.
is a
How do you feel in here at 170 today?
Fucking fantastic.
Fantastic. This man says Sean Applegate has selected Kevin Sherrill. What kind of strategy do you think you're going to play into this? Are you going to look for a lot of like chokes right off the bat, or are you just going to kind of take what comes to you?
I'm getting 12 toe holds.
12 toe holds. This man needs flip flops for the rest of his life. Team Toehold, Kevin Buring. For Team Toehold and Sean Applegate, Manning Leverett.
Yep.
Congratulations on the 4th round pick, man, and you're on a great team. Team Toehold selects Mario Gayor. Man, we're excited to have you here. Congratulations on getting selected to Team Toehold. As the 6th pick, the only person left, Kiahi. I want to just let you have this thing and tell the people what you think.
I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
There you go.
I'm a big fan of Sean's, like a really big fan. I'm kind of sad I got to be on the same team as my coach, but man, y'all fuck, this thing's a problem.
Okay, we're back with the 2nd pick in the 1st round. Supernatural Survival Gear and Drew Weatherhead take King Leonidas, Caleb McAllister. Meat Sickle, David Evers.
Oh, that's a great pick.
Yeah.
That's a great pick.
David, well,
He might be doing
We'll
that
get
rocket
David.
science.
Yeah,
we'll
he's got a real
next
job.
time he's in. SSG chooses the tie-dyed ape, the wandering grappler, Isaac Stackhouse.
That is a surprise.
Season 2 vet, dump truck, Randy Roden.
Okay.
Okay, that's a good pick. But this
And
is the one.
SSG with their 5th pick selects Sasquatch, Eric Longar. As one of the black belts, give you any extra motivation going into this week being selected in the 5th round?
I'm not really too worried about belts. I mean, if you look at every guy in here, it's just not one chump in here. So, ready to go. Belt or no belt.
Team SSG selects the underdog, Lewis Collins. Team such and such chooses the elbow genie, Jonathan Roberts.
You called it.
The great Dane Leak.
Yeah, he had
Okay.
to.
The wolf sheep, Tyler Woolsey. Team such and such selects Ain't Nothing Wrong with Silver, Marcus Elkins.
Uh-oh.
With their 5th pick, Team such and such selects Los Amigos, Carlos,
Yeah.
Andres, Matthew, Bad Boyles. The 2nd round, 1st pick, Kevin Primo. Definitely, man. You're one of the big stars of the PGF. You're one of the fan favorites, man. I'm very excited to see you go this week, and congratulations on being a 2nd round pick. To Primo's heroes, Gio Ortiz.
I'm not gonna be running away at all. I'm gonna just try to stay in the pocket the entire time.
Primo's heroes, the Scarecrow of Doom.
Oh,
Matt-
man.
Matt Harrison,
Matt Harrison.
It's getting crazy.
Noah Randolph.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Man, we're excited to have you in there, man. Evan DeWitt.
Gonna get me started. I got picked after Hippie. I got picked after Jones jean jacket here. I guarantee you, best fantasy pick this entire season. I'm gonna be cheap as hell, and I'm gonna be delivering. You will see.
All right, nice.
Hey, I'm not gonna add anything to that, man. We're ready to go.
Those
Team
guys and
Primo's
just
heroes.
pressure them down
Select
and
Josh
choose
Gibbs.
a submission. All right, guys, if you were with us during the draft, welcome back. And if not, welcome for the first time. So we're going to go back a little bit over the draft and talk about any surprises that we might have had. So the way that I want to do this is let's just go through. We'll do the 1st round picks and we'll talk about, did anything surprise you guys? Is that what you thought was going to happen? And so, yeah, the 1st round, Elijah Carlton, Caleb McAllister, Jonathan Roberts, and Gio Ortiz. So, Egghead, is that the way you thought things were going to go?
Well, Jonathan Roberts, the elbow genie, PGF 1 vet, I had him in the second round. And so he was a little bit of a reach, but not too crazy. But the Elkins brothers, they wanted somebody they're familiar with. And so they wanted somebody tried and true they knew and was, again, somebody they could work with, they knew about. So they chose the elbow genie. So it was a little bit of reach, but otherwise about there.
Okay. And Steven, you did how many drafts last night?
Quite a few, at least like 4 or 5. I ran different like mock drafts in my room based on some of the things that the coaches had said to me. But I got a little bit of misdirection. I figured out a little bit later on.
Okay.
Because they didn't want everybody to know exactly who some of their picks
Oh, so they were tricking you.
I just didn't want to know for
Okay.
sure exactly what was going on. And I disagree that Robert should have not been one of the first picks. I mean, there could have only been about 5 guys total that could have been that. And I think with such and such picking Jonathan first, they ended up with Dane Leak also on their team. And so they ended up with one of the other guys that I would have said was a first round draft pick on their team as that number 3 pick, or however it stacked back up in the snake draft. So they got a steal right there off of that deal.
Definitely got a steal.
Well, they got a steal, and it saved them because they ended up getting Dane Leak because Coach Eli Knight for Primo's Heroes, he felt, as he said, somewhat obligated to have the man that sponsored the team on his team. Again, not a great reach to get Primo at that spot. However, Eli should have been really set up with Gio and Dane Leak, and he would have had just a killer team with that setup. And so they got a little lucky that Eli did not pick up Dane Leak right there.
Yeah, that was how I had most of my mock draft set up, with some order of that, where Primo's Heroes ended up with Ortiz and with Leak. Mm-hmm. And then I thought that based on stuff that I'd heard from the Elkins, Matt specifically, that they may have put Primo in at their number 2 spot. He was really highly coveted by a lot of the teams, actually.
Yeah, Matt Elkins, when we brought him in for an interview, he said he did want Kevin on his team, Kevin Primo. All right, so let's go to the second round here. So Kevin Sherrill, David Evers, Dane Leak, and Kevin Primo. So what do you think, Egghead? Was that pretty much to be expected, second round?
As far as finalizing the top 8, yes.
Okay.
And we already talked about there was a little bit of shuffling in the first round and second round, but pretty much yes. We all knew that Sean was after his own guys, and so he stayed true to that. Picked up Sherrill, makes sense. David Evers, he jumped up a little bit. I'll admit that. I had him originally, I think I had him at 12, and I'll admit that. So, but we saw in the combine, he showed to be a physical freak.
Specimen.
I mean, he got either the top score or in the top 3 of like
everything.
At least half of them. I mean, sorry.
No, I mean almost everything that he tried, and I think he did more than 5 events. So yeah, he did really well. Anything surprising to you, Steven, on round 2?
Other than the fact that Eli ended up taking Kevin Primo there, not really. And I think Evers is definitely going to be a problem for almost everybody on the roster, even if he doesn't submit them all. It's going to be really hard for them to control him in that 6-minute span. I think if he's really trying to push the pace and be like really scrambly and explosive, because man, what we saw from him yesterday was like a little bit surprising compared to a lot of the other guys. So I think everybody had pretty good value picks on the second round. Maybe Kevin Sherrill would have been not a good pick for any other team, but I think with Sean being the coach of that team, then it was a really quality pick for him as number 2.
Okay, and so that leads us to round number 3, and I think your answers, guys, are going to be a little bit different. I think this is where the surprises start. So in round 3, it's going to be Kevin Buring, Isaac Stackhouse, Tyler Woolsey, and Matt Harrison. All right, so Egghead.
So initially, you'd think that selecting a blue belt might be a bit of a reach, in picking Kevin Bury, but I had him ranked at number 9. He came in second at the Atlanta qualifier. He won the Jacksonville qualifier. He's dangerous. He's only a blue belt and belt only. He is going to be a problem for a lot of people. So that didn't surprise me too much. And now, the Wandering Grappler, I love him. We all love him. This is where we separate the analyst and the love of the man. He's probably one of the biggest reaches of the draft as far as getting him in the 3rd round. And Drew came over and he said he wanted chaos energy.
nasty guy. No, listen, honestly, in the third round, I had everybody that was picked, I think, going in the third round, except for Isaac and for Matt Harrison. Based on conversations that we had with other coaches, Matt Harrison's name didn't really come up from anybody the night before as someone that they were seeking highly. So I thought that if he got picked up, he would have slid further down because literally none of the coaches mentioned his name. But after the draft, Eli Knight told me that he said he purposely didn't mention Matt Harrison to anyone because he wanted him in that value slot like that. He didn't want anyone to like sneak in front of him and get him. And then definitely, man, Isaac's my dude. You know, he trains with me all the time. I actually had him going fourth to such and such in my final like mock draft because of the way everybody else was kind of picking. And he's definitely going to bring like a lot of energy to the team. I think he's going to be harder to finish than a lot of people expect based on some of the performances they saw throughout the qualifying season, because honestly, he got his ankle popped pretty nasty in the first qualifier or second one and went through all the rest of that. He was taped up the whole time. We couldn't really do much at all on that one ankle for much of that whole thing. And so now he's had time to recover. We've had time to do a lot of training. I think honestly, maybe that's a reach overall, but he's going to probably get more points than people think based on what they've seen before. And maybe that's my heart talking a little bit more, but honestly, with who else was under him, I don't know how much of a reach. I had him at fourth going to such and such. So, you know, Tyler Woolsey is who I thought Drew was going to take as his third pick. I thought he was a better option at that slot, definitely, than Isaac would be overall, because of their match. Even he has the heads up victory on him there, and you know he just has more like versatile tools, I think, to get more finishes than Isaac would have. And I thought that the Elkins were going to go heavy on the homer pick with Marcus for that third round draft pick, just to be like solid that they were going to end up with their brother on their team, because they didn't want someone else to end up with them just out of like, I don't know, they love their brother despite what they'll tell everybody else, you know?
Yeah. So Isaac, 100% healed up, made weight like a champ, fully healthy.
See, that's another thing. These other guys that were doing this stuff, Isaac's a little bit naturally maybe bigger, but when he started this, he had a hip surgery the year before he was out. So we started this whole thing without any training. Coming in, we started building up towards it. He came out here and helped me film the Dream Show and was part of the PGF with season 2. And this was all like help building up towards this process. So we've actually been working kind of towards this over like more than a year or so, trying to get him built back up and healthy and running. And this is the healthiest he's been in like a year and a half. So yeah, he's ready to come. And I think tonight, everybody should be like on the lookout for his first match with Dane League.
Okay. So we're going to get to see the Isaac Stackhouse, his game. He's going to be running it.
Yeah, tonight should be the night that we go out here and see what he's going to bring. Yeah, we're going to go out here and the game plan is to go out here and like establish yourself tonight in the first round, the first night, and let everybody know that we're here to really compete. And it's not really been all a show like everybody may have thought.
Okay. So you said Matt Harrison was another surprise for you. So where did you have Matt going?
I had him in the fourth round, 15, kind of the end of the fourth round. Solid black belt, PGF season 1 veteran, but not going to say one trick pony, but he definitely has an A game that he likes to stick to.
Right.
You know, if you can avoid his guard in that nasty triangle, well, then you get a shot. And we saw in the Louisville qualifier, Mario Gayor found a way. He tried, Scarecrow Doom tried to put him in his guard. Well, he just sat back on a leg and snatched it up. And to have Harrison here go in this round and Mario Gayor is still on the board with the win over him, that's surprising.
A little inconsistent, with the results. Yeah,
that was one of the biggest ones of the draft as far as the surprises. Yeah.
All right. Sure. So let's go to round 4. Manning Leverett, Randy Roden, Marcus Elkins, and Noah Randolph. All right. So Stephen, did you have any surprises there on round 4?
I had the first 4 for Sean's team pretty much figured out based on how I thought that he would approach the season with guys that he would be familiar with early on that would be high enough level. And Manning being in the system, being from one of the Southeast 10th Planet teams in Jacksonville, competed in several tournaments around each other. That's a solid pick for that team and for Manning to get on there with Sean as his coach, because it'll really help give him some like points each night as a confidence boost to have that guy in his corner. I think that he may not have gotten if he was in another team based on their demeanor. I thought Randy wasn't going to go that high at all. In the
Okay.
slot that Randy got taken by Drew, I thought he was going to probably take Eric Longar. I thought that was a better pick for sure in that round. Randy looked really bad yesterday. I love him to death. He's one of my favorite dudes from last season. But when I saw him yesterday, I was like, man, this may not end up the way that we thought it would with Randy coming
Because
in.
of the weight cut,
Yeah,
right?
He dropped a ton of weight, and you can really see it if you see from yesterday to today when he came in. I think that's what really like bumped him up back to that heavy spot when everybody realized that he came back in fresh and looked like a real heavy athlete again. And he still hasn't taken off his baggy clothes here yet. And so that's the thing that everybody realized during season 2 is when Randy walked out onto the mats for the first time. He's going to make some noise now. I think if he can keep that weight on and be healthy. I still don't know if he's going to produce the points that Eric would have in that number 4 slot. But again, with Drew wanting to just disrupt things and shake things around, if Randy's able to be his full self, man, he got me off the ground when I was I was on the ground in half guard, and he picked me up from the floor to make me let go of it. So I was like, all right, bro,
Yeah,
and so these guys are quite a bit lighter than I am. So we may see some guys get some sky miles here in this match.
That'll be awesome. I'm excited about that.
I agree. I mean, we didn't get to see in the combine because he cut so much weight, but I'd say he is easily the best athlete on the floor out there. I mean, granted,
Probably.
David Evers, freakish human being, but overall
It's
athlete,
not the same thing.
no.
Yeah.
I mean, and you got, a naturally walking around 200-pound D1 wrestler.
Yeah, he said he's going to be back up to over 200 pounds by the end of the week easily.
I think he was at 190 today.
Yeah,
already.
He said he's going to be 200 by the end of the week. So I think anybody that gets him today, lucky. Anybody that catches on by the end of the week, same thing we said last season. By the end of the week, Randy's going to be a lot of man to handle.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's go on to round 5. So Mario Gayor, Eric Longar, Carlos Andras, and Evan DeWitt.
2 black belts. 2
In round
black
5.
belts slid all the way to the 5th round. Evan DeWitt, Mr. Irrelevant, the last guy to make an active team. And he was fired up after that.
I know.
I mean,
I would have been too.
wow.
I was glad that he got fired up. I think that's going to, I don't know. I think that Evan's going to create a story for himself here. I think he's been put in a position to being picked last for an active participant. And then I think he's going to go and surprise some of these coaches that didn't or that left him to the end.
Looking at Mario Gayor, I mean, both he and Sean, I think, got lucky, and he said as much as well. And he got arguably one of the coaches that everyone really wanted to have coach him, and that's insane. I had him ranked in the top 10. I think I had him ranked 7th. He got down to the 5th round. But Evan DeWitt, that pickup by Primo's Heroes, that could have just made their team. Because now looking up and down that first
3
5,
black belts.
Yeah, multiple black belts, or 3 black belts, and no real weakness.
He's got 2 of the guys on here that are locals that didn't have to travel or anything
Yeah.
too. So 2 really guys that are going to be comfortable on these mats. They know how to play the game around here. It's not going to be unfamiliar to them too.
And 2
So,
absolute warriors.
Yeah, he looked pretty bad yesterday in that Connect 4, but he didn't come out too bad in the draft today with those picks. And for me, man, that 5th round and like looking out there at the guys that were sitting trying to see who was going to get picked and who wasn't going to get picked because of the alternate rule this year was really tough to see. And there were some clear-cut guys, like we said, Mario, Eric, Evan. Those were all like guys I was like, wow, I can't believe they're even being considered to not make one of the active like roster slots every week. So that was really, really surprising to see that. And then Carlos and Evan are both going to bring a ton of like energy tonight, and I think definitely throughout the whole season, like you said, to go ahead and make a name for themselves because they want to represent, and they did not like being placed so low under some of these other people. And that was one of the things I kept telling everybody coming in. This thing is different than most other kind of competitions, and especially now with this draft, it's like almost like dodgeball when you're a kid or whatever, and you're like the last pick. It hurts your feelings a little bit and stuff. So these guys that ended up with number 6 slots or whatever, they're just hoping, not wanting someone to get injured, but they're just like looking for any kind of opportunity to get in there and get their shine now. So it really made a type of energy that was unusual around the jiu-jitsu competition today.
And maybe it puts a chip on their shoulder, and then now they've got something to prove, you know?
Definitely.
So now they're going to go out there and I'm going to show all these people exactly what they missed out on. So I think that might be some motivation there. All right, let's talk about our alternates, and then let's talk about the role of the alternates. So in round 6, it was Kiai, Lewis, Matthew Boyles, and Josh Gibbs. And so we got together, had a meeting with the commish, and asked him face to face, all right, so now what can we expect out of these alternates? Where are they going to come into play? And so Brandon, the commish, he said, think about it like a basketball game. Like you've got the 6th man sitting on the bench. So this alternate can sub in at any time, and they are going to be collecting their own points. So if they do have to sub in, let's say Randy is not fully hydrated and he's got a match that he doesn't want to do yet, he can sub in. Who's the sub for Randy?
Lewis Collins.
Lewis Collins. So Lewis can go out there, and if he gets a choke, he gets 6 points. That's Lewis's 6 points. It's not going to go to Randy or anything like that. And that's Lewis will be able to carry that 6 points with him throughout. But so that sub, that alternate can go in and out. And Randy would be able to go and play the rest of his games throughout the week. And then Lewis never goes back in. You know, we don't know. So,
but those points do accrue towards the team total for the night and for the season.
Right.
The coaches,
Right.
yes.
So yes, team points. He will be collecting points for the team as well.
So,
all right. Yeah.
I think that's a very interesting dynamic to where you may be able to see people plug in and out. And if it's like a true 6th man, what if some of these guys get a couple of like hits each night? Like what if, you know, one guy's like not feeling it by the end of the night, so he fills in the 3rd slot for this guy, and then on Tuesday he gets a 3rd slot, and Wednesday, and then he ends up with 20-something points because he got some kills on people along the way, and then we find one of these alternate guys making it to the finale somehow, creeping up in there because people are not making it all the way through. They definitely have a chip on their shoulder. There was definitely some guys that were ready to go out there and show everyone what they're capable of because they came here to do just that.
Yeah. And I've heard tell, I don't know, they're kind of kicking it around, but maybe we can see some alternates at the finale, like, you know, Lucha Libre kind of like getting some masks on, doing some pro wrestling. You know, I could see Kiai out there, you know, hamming it up. That'd be awesome. I don't know that that's going to happen, but that might be in the works. That'd
Maybe
be a
even
lot
just
of
like
fun.
a round robin.
Yeah.
Where they get to show out, you know.
Yeah, there's a lot of other matches on that card, so why not let these guys who came over
Exactly. We're starting at noon. We'll go all night, all night long.
This is
That
what
should be fun.
Yeah. Okay. So next thing up is let's talk about any matches that are going to be taking place tonight that you are anticipating. All right. So we kind of already mentioned it on air that Jonathan Roberts and Elijah Carlton are going to be matching up tonight. All right. Do you have any predictions? Jonathan Roberts, Elijah Carlton.
I'm sorry, I forgot what I put on the blog post. But you have to give it to Elijah. I mean, right now, all I have.
You have to?
Until you beat Elijah, you have to pick Elijah.
Okay.
And there's only one person in PGF I know, and he can't make 170, Hunter Colvin. So Elijah's it. Jonathan Roberts got hit by that patented triangle move by Elijah, and he got choked out pretty handily. I mean, granted, again, love Jonathan Roberts, the elbow genie, big fan, but I don't think he can get past that guard. I mean, he's a technical tactician, but he's not. He doesn't have that athletic explosiveness to do one of those rolling Kimuras to get over.
So, sorry to interrupt you. The commission just passed me off this list right here. And looking at this list, though, what if the matchups Elijah also has Randy Roden and Kevin Primo tonight? What if J-Rob's the 3rd match?
I think Elijah is very lucky tonight because he faces 2 of the biggest contestants in this season while they're still rehydrating.
That is.
I mean, they we all know from a hard weight cut, it takes a while for you to be 100%. You just feel off. And so he's already faced these 2 before in different PGF seasons, and he submitted them. Now he gets a chance while they are, not 100% to go after them. Now, granted, you're right. Those are 2 big guys, and regardless of how they feel, that's a whole lot of weight on you. And then so they can wear it down a bit, but I don't think enough. but it could make it more interesting.
So there's no way that Jonathan Roberts. So what if
Yeah,
the
that's
other
right,
two
that's right.
matches go 6 minutes, and Jonathan
be
Roberts is
scared.
third.
They're not going 6 minutes. If either two of them really push Elijah, he's going to snatch their legs. And he's going to get the break instead of a kill.
So you're putting a boom, boom, Primo and Road, and just nothing for Elijah. Then he's just gonna walk through the elbow genie also tonight. That's coming from you, Egghead. That's what you're saying. He's walking through.
There's
I'll be
no
here
way
at
he's
open
losing.
mat tomorrow at noon. If any of them want to come see me,
It's
and
not.
tell me
he's
I'm
throwing
wrong.
it
I'm just
down.
making sure that I understand what you're saying to everybody. And
I'm
you really
saying-
think that dude is just gonna walk through all three of those dudes tonight?
the
And a
PGF
very
Insider
healthy
rule.
elbow genie. There's a rule for this guy. They created a new rule for this guy.
Yeah. But the PGF
So-
Insider has its own rule for Elijah. Until you beat Elijah, you pick Elijah.
Yeah, but you also don't bet against Kevin.
You're already going against your own rules, and we haven't even
There's
started
conflicting
yet.
rules, so we have to figure out a third issue. And in fact, he's
Right.
dehydrated.
And okay, that is true. He is still rehydrating, but this is probably the best Kevin that we've ever seen.
And by tomorrow, you better not pick against him.
Okay. All right. So
Mm.
Steven, you got
I don't know,
anything
man.
else?
I think that this is going to be a better match than you think already. I think Jonathan Roberts has improved a ton since we've last seen some of those matchups. He looked big, he looked strong, he looked healthy, and he seemed to be in a really good mindset also. Now, is Elijah going to be somebody that's easy for him to take out? Hell no. We all know that Elijah's going to be the top dog for most of this season. There's a few guys I think that are going to probably be able to give him some trouble, and Jonathan's definitely one of them. So I was really excited to see this tonight because I'd like to see two of the best guys. Let's go ahead and get it on while everybody's fresh before anything gets in the way. And I think I'm gonna go out on them tonight, and I'm gonna say the elbow genie takes that one tonight, and he goes and gives Elijah his first loss of the season on the first night.
Okay. You got elbow genie.
I do
Okay.
tonight.
Okay. With what? Choke.
He's gonna
break?
armbar him.
He's gonna
If he's
He's
going to get
gonna
him, he's
armbar
gonna
him.
get him. But, we'll just remember that for tomorrow. Another win for the Egghead.
We'll see. We'll see.
I love it. I love it.
You've already lost so much that one won't add up very much if you happen to get it. So
All right. Are there any other matches? I'll tell you guys.
I got 4 other ones.
This is the hardest fantasy pick that I've ever had to do. It took me forever. Just because the level of competition in this season, there are not those matches where it's just a gimme. You go through there and you're like, oh, so and so's going to win that one. Oh, so and so, and then that's not happening this season. I have to sit there and go, can he choke that guy? So there's so many unknowns. This is definitely the hardest fantasy pick that I've ever done. I need to see these guys a little bit more. I need to see some. So how are they going to perform on these blue mats out here? Before I have total confidence in my picks. So I'm a little nervous. I said I was going to win. I still think I'm going to win. I'm just a little nervous.
Well, as I look at the matches I'm really excited about, and some of our rematches we're going to talk about a little bit later.
Mhm.
But when I separated them out, I realized almost all the ones I'm really excited about include one elbow genie. So, Stephen, you pointed out, Elijah's going to have his hands full with 2 of the biggest competitors possibly before the elbow genie. However, elbow genie does not have an easy day either. He's got handsome
No.
Kevin Sherrill, D1 wrestler, got the leg attacks from 10th Planet Atlanta. A young man that's gonna be rough to handle, and then he also has
Kevin
Primo
Primo
as well. So they know each other very well. Been around the same places. I'm sure they've trained many rounds together. And again, really tough
and
guy.
listen, man, I don't even think Cheryl's more handsome than Jonathan Roberts either. Let's just go out on a limb with that.
But he's
either.
handsome Kevin.
So
We have to have
Okay.
distinguishing
Okay.
adjectives for the
Kevins.
Kevins,
My bad.
right?
Okay, I thought you were just throwing out that he was more handsome than the elbow genie.
I think he
I think
threw
the
he
fans
threw
would have
that
to vote on
adjective
that.
out on his own, did he not?
it
That
stuck though.
descriptor.
It was
Hey,
funny.
Right.
He
It
He's
works,
handsome
it works.
Kevin.
He says, I'm handsome Kevin, and then just Kevin Buring, the Burek, happens to be either baby Kevin or Kevin number 3.
I didn't call him Mr. 4 Points.
He,
Was that Beering?
He's told
he could be. He could be him or David Evers. If you told me
Okay.
either one of those guys ends up
Yeah.
being called Mr. 4 Points by the end of the season, I would not be surprised.
I think
Rematch.
David Evers is going to be meat sickle. I just
That was pretty awesome.
rematch between the Decatur finale tonight in the first round. Also, Ortiz versus Evers. What do you guys think about that one?
I put it as a draw.
That's what I had to.
Wednesday out.
That's what I had to think about when I was picking my fantasy. Yeah, that Gio just wasn't able to put him away. So yeah.
As a recap for the audience, they face each other in the finale for the Decatur qualifier, but it was the only Decatur, the only season 3 qualifier that did not have a submission end. At that time, they allowed the coach's decision. As a quick recap of the match, David Evers gave an onslaught of leg attacks against Ortiz, and Ortiz was constantly defended them expertly, as a black belt should. And he got positional dominance towards the end and won the decision, but he was not able to finish him. So
yeah, and really, when things go to a draw here at the PGF, you collect no points towards your total, no points towards the team total. So it kills your team, and it kills you.
Much like those draft choices. After one night, depending on how people have done based on just these 3 matchups that they've had, you're going to start seeing people's mentality start shifting based on who is ahead of them that they're really surprised by, that maybe drafted in a different slot to them, that scored more points than they did. And people are really going to start maybe getting into their own heads a lot already on the first night. It's easy to do that because it's not just like, okay, I got to win 3 matches and then I won the tournament for the day or whatever. It's like you said, you can dominate matches and then still get 0. And that's way worse than anything, is when you did really, really well. You carried the whole match, you dominated, but then you just got nothing. It feels worse than actually getting submitted almost.
All right, what else, Egghead? What other matches are
we
you
had
anticipating?
two interesting rematches as well. We got Mario Gayor rematch against Scarecrow Doom. We saw that in Louisville qualifier. And I think if we talked about it a little bit earlier, that one match might have reduced Scarecrow's draft rankings. So people might have seen that as the blueprint for taking him out. So it'd be interesting if the Scarecrow decides, no, I'm going to show you I can do what I can do. I'm a dang black belt.
Yeah.
And then we see Randy Dumptruck Roden versus Kevin Buring, and that was a semifinal at the Atlanta qualifier. Buring got him out with a leg lock. Surprise, surprise. The question is, has Randy Roden taken the time to work on all those defenses to shore up that and be able to take him out?
And that takes a long time to be proficient at that defense. So yeah, we'll definitely see. What about Steven? What any matches that you're looking forward to, or even if they were already mentioned there?
I was definitely I forgot the one that you were talking about, but Buring and Roden, that's the one that's definitely going to be interesting. Like we said, getting Randy today may be a really good thing for these guys. And then also at that qualifier, Randy had to make the 170 within a certain frame to make that qualifier without much chance to recover. So Buring's going to also get that ability to basically get that same feel out of Randy again without having to feel all of Randy when he's fully rehydrated and pumped up. I think a good match is also going to be Kevin Buring and Marcus Elkins. I want to see how that one goes too. They're both kind of tall and skinny, and I don't know that I think that Buring's gonna be a lot more aggressive and like strong style versus like Marcus maybe a little bit more like floppy and stuff like that. So seeing if Marcus can figure out a way to take advantage of Kevin maybe being a little overexcited on the first night here, trying to score, and see if Marcus can pull out one of those like upsets and start himself down a victory path for the season.
It's funny you brought up another Buring match, and so we might as well hit the third. What do you think about Buring versus Caleb McAllister?
Dude, honestly, Buring is one, and we are talking about a blue belt more than everybody else, but he is one of the wild cards of the season that is gonna shake up people a lot because he's very attack heavy. He's hard to control when he's going after you. He's got a great coach who's also the guy that's here with him in his corner right now. These guys are going to go back every day. They're going to game plan each match. It's going to be hard for these guys to get advantages on Kevin because he's going to have his actual coach in there working through these things. So everybody on the roster is going to have a little bit of trouble with him because he doesn't care about the choke or the whatever. He wants to get the win. And he specifically said he's going to try to get all toe holds so he can get a bunch of flip-flops. That way he won't ever have to buy another pair. So I think he's going to be one of the people who may not be like a heavy point scorer by the end of the season as far as everybody else, but he's definitely going to be in the mix in every single match, every single day.
One match that I just could not figure out what I thought the result of the match was going to be would be David Evers and Mario Gayor. I just, I have no idea what's going to happen. You look at body styles, David Evers, short and compact, but strong. Mario, again, strong upper body. David going after the legs. Mario, really technical, well-rounded player. So I'm really excited for that match.
So this is the thing right here. These alternate guys. There's several of these guys who think that they are the leg lock guy. They think that they're the one that's going to be able to get the play in on the leg locks. Are we going to see some of these guys try to go too hard on, like, trying to, I got it on the other guy and find themselves injured in the first night? And then the alternate can jump in right away, because there's some matches tonight that we can see that happening. We just talked about a few right there. It could happen right now. These alternates, they've got to be ready. They can't like be sad and depressed tonight. They've got to somehow stay sharp and ready to go.
We have a lot of
drop of a hat,
aggressive leg lockers.
super aggressive ones.
And it's interesting because I think it was one of the other commentators, I don't remember, one of you black belts, described Mario's ankle lock that he used in the Louisville qualifier twice as a counter leg lock. So if Evers goes for his standard leg lock that he gets on everyone, can Mario use his signature counter leg lock to defeat it? I don't know. I mean, Drew Weatherhead seems to be very confident in the stature and the physical freakness of David Evers, and everything we've seen says he's gonna be a problem. I agree.
He hits all the
scary.
metrics for sure in that way, and nobody else in the room looked the way that David Evers looked in the room. Now, we know that that's not always a very big deal in jiu-jitsu. You see a lot of really like skinny, non-athletic looking people that can do a really good job in here. But the PGF is different. The PGF is jiu-jitsu, but it's a competition of jiu-jitsu. It's not regular jiu-jitsu. You don't get all the time to set up and think and plan and cook the guy down. You got 6 minutes. This is a sprint. This favors the athlete more than a regular jiu-jitsu style competition. So when a lot of the coaches were telling me that, I don't think that this athletic stuff really plays a lot into the thing, I didn't say much. But honestly, I think athleticism plays a huge amount into the PGF system because of that 6-minute sprint style. If you can't keep up the pace on a guy, if he can keep pounding on you, you're gonna see guys wilt under some of these other cats that are gonna be really hunting the whole time, that have the cardio, that have the strength, and can keep going.
Oh, for sure. Just like Caleb McAllister says, he uses cardio as a weapon. If you have a guy and you're going against a guy who has cardio as a weapon and you don't have cardio, I mean, there's no way. There's no way that you can keep up. Right.
Yeah.
He's got cardio and, a little bit of technique. You're dead at the end.
It's at least going to be a recipe for a bunch of zeros for his opponents, even if he's not the one that takes the win. Speaking of David Evers, he's going to get people. He doesn't have a neck. That's one of the things his coach could comment on. How do you choke a guy without a neck? And someone he's built similar to people who are often in my weight class as a heavyweight or whatever, with that really like thick body type. They're hard to triangle. They're hard to choke. They're hard to Kimura. They're hard to armbar because they're so strong physically. And if you've not felt that pound for pound in your weight class, some guys may be shocked that he's going to be so strong compared to what they're able to do.
And I bet he can be heavy. I mean, even if he's not in the same weight class as, or if he's down or whatever, going against Randy, if you know how to use your weight as a weapon, just like you can use cardio as a weapon, you can use weight as a weapon as well. So I bet that dude can be heavy.
Closing out that match, you got to think, if David Evers can leg lock the elbow genie, a master of breaks, well, he can probably hit Mario Gayor as well.
Yes, we shall see tonight. All right. Any other rematches that you wanted to bring up?
No,
we got
that's the big
those.
ones.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna go to our fantasy picks for tonight. Okay, I'll go ahead and tell you mine. Okay, yeah, go find your phone. Okay, and I know there's some people out there that are gonna get salty. So I apologize. And this is not exactly the list that if I just had infinite amount of money, and only could pick 7 players, it would be a little bit different from what I picked. So I picked Elijah, Manning, Caleb, Kevin Buring, Kevin Sherrill, Noah, and Carlos.
I have a lot of those same players. So just for the fans, hopefully you're going to the BrandonMC.Ninja Facebook group and clicking on the Fantasizer link to get on there. What you'll find is that every day you have a budget of $120 and you have an option to fill up to 7 spots in your roster. Everyone has a different value. Everyone from the top being the $25 Elijah Carlson, the bad guy, to $11 for for Kiahi, which Kiahi's a replacement, but it makes you fill all 7 if you have enough money.
So let's bring this up though. Those alternates might mess up your fantasy because the way that Brandon is using those guys as a sub, the coach may make a decision night of, and you guys don't know. And Lewis goes in that night, or Kiai goes in that night, and you weren't expecting that. But that happens with fantasy leagues, basketball, football, and all that kind of stuff. So just be aware of situations that might arise that way, because I know y'all are going to be upset when that happens.
Let's see here. I'm having trouble.
So what difference did you have for me?
So again, it's consistent with my post on eggheadwarrior.com. But I also had Manning. I also had Noah. I also had, did you have Noah?
I had Noah.
Yep. Kevin Buring, Elijah, Caleb, and then I went with Gio. I think you had two.
I had Carlos, and I had Carlos and Kevin Sherrill.
Oh, that's nice. It might work.
I ended up using all of my money.
Yeah.
So we shall see.
That might be me. I don't know. I mean, Gio versus. Let's see. So I said Gio's going to get 9 points. I thought so. I guess 3 breaks.
So you chose to go with 6 players, right?
So I've tried before in the past seasons to shoot the moon to get the perfect 7-player lineup. It almost always backfires on me.
And I'll do that too, especially because they change, right? So the prices of the players will change. And sometimes I'll only end up getting 6. So I wanted to use up all my possibilities this week. So we'll see how it goes.
I have it.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, let's see. I have Dane Leake, David Evers, Jonathan Roberts, Kevin Buring, Manning Leverett, Noah Randolph, and Tyler Woolsey.
Okay. All right. Well, we're about 5 minutes from the matches starting. So, Keelan, are we wrapping up here? And then we'll be back in just a minute. Yeah, we got to switch desks. Thanks, guys, for tuning into the pre-show.